Hello again, and welcome to our 8-part series. This is Chapter 4, Going to Market, Best Practices for Managing Cleaning for Property and Facility Management. So yeah, it comes down to really what are your goals and what are some of the options? The reality is going to market is stressful on everybody. You're incumbent and your team. It's a lot of work, time consuming, and there's a lot to it. A lot of ways that you can smooth things out, but also trip. So I think the first question is some understanding on, an RFP is in fact a proposal, request for a proposal. Whereas, so you can actually renegotiate after you get the bids in and all of that. A tender is a formal, the bids are the bids when they come in, that's it, more or less. Often there is some negotiation period into it, but much more structured, often handled by supply chain. So, but yeah, the goals and objectives are really important. So, what is it? So have a look at what is really motivating you and then go from there. Because frankly, a lot of people renegotiate and or just in fact renew if they have the options that are there. So, is it 3 years up? All of those things. But so yeah, so why? Well, yeah, the term is up, but also there could be performance issues. And important to document that and make sure that it's balanced and it's not just one issue, so to speak. And cost is critical these days. Again, we know that there are pressures on building owners and property managers, so maybe that's one of the reasons that you must do it. And occasionally you'll get new management, both maybe on your side and on the property management side, and there's a group deal with some service provider, who knows. But also maybe on the contractor side is that somebody new there and it's just not working out. So there's some, best practices here internally. Look at who, in fact, you want to bring to the RFP or the tender, and in some form pre-qualify. I think it's just a best practice. It's easy to do, and you're not wasting people's time, both the contractors, the bidders, putting in all that time and energy, and yourselves. How many bids do you really want to look at seriously? The other thing is truly get your team involved in understanding, where you are from a cleaning point of view. What are your needs? What in fact would you like to see change or improve? All of that. And facts are really important. The cleanable square footage. What actually is happening in terms of quality control. What training do you need? Are there any unique spaces? So get all the information together ahead of time and then devote the time and the energy to writing a very clear document. So often we hear that there's challenges from service providers on documents that are unclear, the specifications, yeah, all of that. So externally, be prepared for questions. You should have a question period, like a time that in fact is stated and expires. Questions should be answered, stated and answered to all bidders, just to be fair, but also you don't want to have to go back later and undo something. And the evaluation of when proposals do come in, the first thing, check for errors, especially on the numbers. Are there, is it right? Did they answer the mail, so to speak? Did they actually, on all of the items that you asked for, were they clear? Are they capable? So yeah, evaluate them. Typically you'll end up with, if you have 5 or 6 bidders, you'll end up with a couple, maybe 3 that kind of fit the bill, feel good in terms of who they are and what they've answered. And we recommend shortlisted interviews. I think it's just wise to have a face-to-face and prepare questions and ask, the tough questions and get them to the bidders to detail what they're really going to do and what their commitment level is. Particularly after startup, who's in charge? who's the supervisor, who are we dealing with in terms of your supervisor or manager and such. Then of course you make the award. Now it's important to terminate your earlier contract 30 days prior to the award, even if you are intending on staying with the same contractor, because you will have a new agreement, a new contract. So, and then that contract startup period is so critical that they are in fact prepared. They do a pre-clean. The keys. There's tons of things that have to be set up. So, from the property management side, have one person in charge to actually pull all that together, be the key communication point for the service provider, and plan it out. And then that first 30 days is critical for the first impression. So yeah, I mean, it's again, like I said at the beginning, it's stressful, it's time consuming. So do budget time and make sure you've got the expertise that you need. Somebody who knows the business well, or at least intimately, hopefully. And yeah, really review that document. That's one of the worst things you can get, of course, is that going back, throughout the life of the agreement, making addendums, having unclear language. Yeah, just tough stuff. And for sure, communication is going to be huge throughout the whole RFP process. And so set yourself a really realistic timeline. We typically say start to finish, minimum 90 days, more like 4 to 5 months. Again, between giving notice and actually the startup. And yeah, it's important when you're looking at the evaluation. Everyone wants the best value, lowest price for the best value. So in cleaning, there's things like productivity rates, which I spoke of earlier, wage rates, equipment, technology. There's a lot of pieces that go into this, into a proper cleaning system. And so again, really look at the low bids. For ourselves, 60 to 70% of the RFPs that we handle do not go to lower bid. And I already spoke about the startup. It's critical. So that's a lot of focus on everybody's part. So yeah, I mean, we do this every Tuesday. So the next one's talking about understanding cleaning service fees. You can see our earlier recordings, which are up on our YouTube. So we'd certainly welcome any discussion and questions that you may have. Thanks so much. See you next week. Bye now.